What's up, tribe? How you guys doing? Go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and I hope you like this video. This is Run the World, Season 1, Episode 5. I think we're on 6. So this was a cute little episode. All three of the ladies, well, four of the ladies, excuse me, are in therapy, and they all have the same therapist. And they didn't realize they all had the same therapist, which is interesting because in a city like New York, how did all y'all end up with the same therapist? I'm sure there are a million of them, but anyway, that's just one of those coinky dinky type things. And the therapist is Rosie O'Donnell, who I absolutely love. And she looks good. She looks good. And so we start off with what's cute about this episode was that as each lady was talking about what issues they had, we had a flashback moment which gave us some insight on how we got to where we are now. So we start off with Ella. And Ella is talking to the therapist about how screwed up her life is and how she ended up where she is after, this isn't where she thought she would be, at 32. And, Rosie is like, girl, like I have patients whose lives are totally screwed up. Like in the grand scheme of things, you doing all right. You have a job, you're beautiful, like you 32. And she was like, yeah, but this isn't where I thought I would be. And so we flash back 2 years earlier when her book came out and how she was like she was like the belle of the ball. But then her book got horrible reviews. And her publishing company ended up dropping her. Later on, we see another scene where Erica, because she was a blogger. She, go back, when blogging was the thing, right? And she was this, this hip blogger that everybody loved. And then she tried to put that into a book. And it just didn't work. The formula just didn't work. And she actually wrote a memoir. And so we see her talking to Erica Alexander, who at the time was her boss. And she was trying to give her this raise as like editor-in-chief of the magazine. And not only did she reject being editor-in-chief of the magazine, she sort of had like a little attitude about it. Like, I am about to be, a published author. I'm about to have my book out. And she was like, I'm writing my memoir. And Erica was like, memoir? At 29. She was like, girl. Like, I didn't have anything interesting to say until I was at least 34. So she said, and then I ended up, I was a little arrogant, I was a little rude, and I ended up having to kind of, grovel back to her and beg for a job. And so, I'm just not in a, this just isn't where I thought my career was going to take me. We also see the moment when the boyfriend leaves to go to South Africa and how she automatically jumped to the conclusion that he was leaving her forever instead of just taking a job for a few months in South Africa, which we already kind of covered that. But we see the moment where she's laying there, she's crying, and Sonny is her name Sonny is even telling her, like, girl, he just left for a job for a couple of months, like he'll be back. And she was like, well, whose side are you on anyway? He left me. And she was like, girl, he really did. He really didn't leave you. We see, and so we get it, like I said, so we get some insight on, her situation, right? So then we see Miss Whitney. Miss Whitney is, talking about how her friends are not there for her at the most important time in her life. She's trying to plan this wedding and how they just don't have her back. And how, Renee is making a big deal about having this slit in her skirt and, it's just being unrelenting about it. And she just doesn't understand why, they can't just be supportive and be there when they need her like she's been there for them, And so we see her flashback. And these girls have known each other since high school, right? So we flash back to when they were in high school and, it was at that coming of age moment. And Whitney, she's the light skin with the long hair. And you got Renee and you have Ella, who are brown skin girls, and so there was this whole colorism conversation that they're having in their mind. And they're in high school and they're like, so all the boys want you. And yeah, that's right, because light bright, damn near white. And she was like, girl, like, you do know that they literally just stopped calling me Jeffrey, the giraffe, because I'm tall and yellow. She was like, girl, I carry my own burdens. And they were like, whatever. The boys like you because they see that, that you basically, y'all know the arguments. The boys like you because they see you and they see, the light skin, the good, quote unquote, good hair. I don't like that term, but the quote unquote good hair. And she's trying to get them to understand that her life isn't perfect. Just because she fits this mold and this ideal mind of beauty, that she's not perfect and that her life isn't perfect and that she got issues too. And so it just reminds her of how, they always just seem to feel like, that her life was so perfect when it really wasn't that perfect, that she had her own issues. Renee, Lord, that damn Renee. Renee doesn't understand why Whitney can't understand why, like, what is the big deal about her getting a slit in her skirt? Like, she doesn't understand. She's like, yes, I know it's about the bride, but I want to look good too. And I don't see what the big deal is. And I don't understand why this is a problem. But then we start chipping away at what Renee's real issue is. So we flash back to a scene where Renee is talking to the ladies about her and her husband deciding not to have children because they like their life the way it is. They don't want to have to worry about no kids. They want to travel like they want to travel. They want to do what they want to do. And while she's talking to them about this decision that she's made, Sony's golly, her phone rings, and it's the professor, and that's when she admits to the ladies that her and the professor are flirting. They haven't crossed the line yet, and they're trying not to cross the line, but they're definitely flirting, and the relationship is definitely inappropriate. Well, Renee immediately feels like, so this whole conversation went from being about me to being about her and her inappropriate relationship. And she basically ends up going off on all of the ladies about, because all of, the ladies were like, oh, girl, go for it. Okay, that's cute, yada, yada. And she was like, well, I don't think it's cute. And they ain't going to tell you the truth, but I'm going to tell you the truth. It is nothing cute about you running around here sleeping with your boss. It's not going to turn out good. And you're going to end up, having to dim your light to worry about whether, you're basically whether you're making the right decision or not. But it's inappropriate. It's inappropriate. It's wrong. So we get to the bottom of it with Miss Renee, though. We find out that Renee is really upset about the fact that she's going to have to see her soon-to-be ex-husband at this wedding, and she wants to look her best. She thinks that slit is going to make her look her best. And she was like, they just act like it's not a big deal. I'm going through a divorce. I don't have anybody. I'm just going to be sitting in my condo by myself with just me. I don't have no kids. I don't have a husband. And Rosie was like, so I feel like you're upset because you're dealing with the consequences of decisions that you made. Like, you decided not to have no kids. You decided that you were, well, not decided to get a divorce, but like, you keep telling your friends that you're okay. You keep telling your friends that you're good and that that the divorce, everything is going fine, but it really truly isn't. And instead of being honest with your friends, you're expecting them to understand and know why you're feeling the way you're feeling and why you're acting the way you're acting, and that's not fair to them. It's not fair to put that on them. And so, of course, Rosie was like, I mean, okay, I guess you got a point. So then it's Sony's. I feel like I'm calling her the wrong name, y'all. But y'all know the PhD candidate. I'm gonna just go back to calling her the PhD candidate. It's her turn, and of course, she's upset with Ella because she feels like Ella didn't have her back. She was like, with everything that's going on, when that professor, made those comments, she didn't have my back, and she's defending this woman because deep down she agrees with her. And deep down she probably feels like I did sleep up and I did, raise my status by sleeping with my professor. But it's not even about that. Like, it really is about love. Like, I really do love him. And, again, Rosie was like, well, maybe ultimately you feel like there's a part of you that's upset because you actually feel like maybe some of what these ladies are saying might be true. That you put so much on the line and you sacrifice so much for this relationship that it may end up not working out. And then you'll feel like you sacrificed for nothing. So maybe that's the reality of it. And so, of course, it gives her, some food for thought. And, by the time all four of them end up going through their little therapy session, they all have to think about when they were there for each other, when the other one was there for them, and what's really going on and what issues they're really going through and what they're dealing with. And at the end of it, they all end up meeting up for drinks. And Renee's homework assignment was to basically tell her friends how she felt and to start a sentence off with them saying, this is how I feel. I feel this way and this is what I need from you. And so we see at the end with them meeting up for drinks and her actually opening up to them and letting them know how she feels about the divorce and how she kind of needs them. And so it was a really good episode, and I felt like they were able to kind of hammer some problems out, honey. Of course, it didn't solve everybody's problem, but I think it gave them all an insight on the connection and how they all intertwine, how they need each other, and what they actually need from each other. Anyway, that was it. Wasn't that much. Let me know what y'all think. Drop it in the comments. Peace.